Order for May 16, 2024. Roll call.
Bontrager.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Dean.
Here.
Alt.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Okay. Next thing is approval of the agenda for May 16, 2024. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay.
Who was the support on that?
Brown.
Steve Brown.
Okay. Alt.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Bontrager.
Here. Yes.
Okay. Next is the approval for the April 18, 2024 minutes. Any addition, deletions, or anything? Not just get a motion and
I move that we accept the minutes as they're written.
a second.
I will.
Dean.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bontrager.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay. Public comments now. No comments? Okay. Public hearing.
Get this up, set up for me.
It's up- Your turn.
Okay, thank you. All right, this is a photo of the property that we're dealing with tonight. It's 1202 Sunnyside Drive. And the applicant, the folks that own this property, are here tonight, and I'm sure that they'll want to speak after I'm finished. And please feel free if I make a mistake or say something incorrect, you won't hurt my feelings, okay? And so I'll go through my staff report. I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible. And you've all received an application packet, and the site plans that were presented are in that packet. You won't see those exactly tonight, but you do have them in your packet. And many of the findings that I'm going to talk about tonight apply to either what is referred to as Plan or Option A or Plan B. It's my understanding that the applicant originally came in looking at the Plan B that's in your packet, and we'll see that in a second. And staff indicated to her that because she would prefer Plan A, and well, go ahead and you can submit both. There's nothing in our rules and regulation that says you can't. So you have two options here. Plan A being the preferred option, but again, a lot of the items that I'm going to go over apply to both. Not the greatest graphic, but you can see where the property, it's located south on the south shore of Lake Cadillac, the yellow arrow. It's right across the street is Sunnyside Assisted Living, and I have another graphic in a few minutes that will also show other land uses that are associated with the site. But it's, again, a site, somewhat of a narrow site located on the south shore of Lake Cadillac. Essentially, the project purpose, regardless of which plan is ultimately or talked about, the project purpose is to construct an addition to the existing home, and the addition is to include a handicapped accessible bedroom, bathroom, and access entry. And the addition, more or less, is about 620 to 640 square feet, give or take. As I mentioned, there's two design options. Preferred option A, this is an addition which will connect the existing dwelling, the existing home, with the garage. And then option B, again, we'll have an addition to the dwelling, but there won't be a connection to the existing garage. In either case, based on the site plans that were submitted, both require what are referred to as side yard setback variances. Just a little bit of background here. The site is zoned R1, one family residential. It has a lot width of about 60 feet. The R1 requires 100 feet. However, as you may recall, under the ordinance, pre-existing lots of record, which this is, may be developed regardless of lot width. They do have to meet setback standards, but lots that are smaller than what is required today can still be developed. So this particular parcel meets that criteria, and there's not an issue there. The lot area is a little over 19,000 square feet. The R1 requires 12,000 square feet, so there's sufficient lot area. The garage itself, which is closest to Sunnyside Drive, is set back a little over 100 feet from Sunnyside, at least based on the city's GIS mapping system. And one of the things you're going to see when we examine this request is we also looked at adjacent properties, and some of the adjacent properties do possess non-compliant side yard setbacks. And so essentially the request that's being made tonight is not necessarily inconsistent with some of the features that are, or some of the situations that are happening around it as well. And the site is surrounded by a mix of uses. In fact, here's that other graphic. Again, the yellow being the site just to the south, Sunnyside Assisted Living. Just south of that is Wildwood Condominiums. Over to the west is Sunset Shores on the lake, and then across is the Sunset Shores Clubhouse. And the rest of the development, more or less, is single-family residential right across from the lot, right across from the subject parcel. Next to Sunnyside Assisted Living, there's a parcel. We've examined that parcel several times. It more or less appears to be almost wetland in character. Just a couple of more shots. Again, across the street, on the left is Sunnyside Assisted Living, and on the right, directly across the street from our site, is that undeveloped wet, I'll call it wet area. Okay, design option A, the plan A, the preferred, as I mentioned before, it's to connect the existing home and garage. And on the left, I went out and took photographs, and you can see the home and you can see the garage. And essentially, this is where they would like to place the addition. The drawing on the right, again, it's just not totally accurate based on the site plan, but it more or less shows you the hatched yellow lines, shows you what they want to do. They want to connect the home with the garage directly to the south. Option B, again, they want to, or calls for, I should say, an addition, somewhat a little more elongated addition. Again, this is not totally accurate based on their site plan, but it shows you the general location, the hatched area, hatched yellow area of where the addition would go. And in this case, there isn't a connection to the garage. In terms of Plan A, and as you know, I don't like to read a lot of this stuff, but I will read this first part. Section 46656 of the zoning ordinance stipulates that where a building accessory to a residential building is structurally attached to a main building, it shall be subject to and must conform to all regulations applicable to the main buildings. In other words, if the garage is attached to the home via this addition, then the entire structure is supposed to meet the setbacks that apply to the home. And we're dealing essentially here with the west side yard, and the required setback is 10 feet. The dwelling itself is 10 feet, the existing dwelling. The addition will be 10 feet. It complies. And then the existing garage, and you'll see another slide in a second. The north 24 feet of the garage is set back 3 feet from the side lot line, and the south 12 feet is set back approximately 4 feet from the lot line. Interestingly, and I think I probably will skip a slide later, so I won't repeat myself, hopefully, but detached garages in the R1 district on the lake can be set back as low as 3 feet. So when this garage was built, it is, or was, well, it still is, conforming. The issue is if you attach it, then it's supposed to meet the 10 feet. So therefore, subsequently, therefore, the need for the variance. Again, just another shot. Let's go to the next one. This is on the west side of the garage. Not how well this shows up, but you can see that the northern portion of the garage, it's the longer portion, is set back about 3 feet from the side lot line, which, since it's a detached garage, is compliant with the ordinance. And then the garage goes in slightly, and the southern portion of the garage, the smaller portion, is set back about 4 feet. You'll also notice that there is a decorative fence, a privacy fence, that separates this particular piece of property from the property to the west. Just a shot of the property to the west and that fence. And the reason this one is important is right next door, that is an attached garage. That garage is attached to the home, and it is non-compliant with the 10-foot setback. That's fine, however. It's been approved in the past and so forth, but it's, I wanted to demonstrate that in this case, what the applicant is requesting is not inconsistent with what has happened next door. Again, not the greatest slide, so to speak, but the 1204 kind of gives you an appreciation for how close on the east side, how close the garage, the attached garage, and the home are to the lot line. And then 1202, it's the property we're dealing with. And again, if it's approved, a connection would be made. So there's not a lot of inconsistencies between what's happening between those two properties. This is the one I'm going to skip. Again, if we were dealing with detached garages, there would not be an issue here, but since we want to combine them, that's why we have to seek the variance. We went through the series of standards and developed a summary of findings relative to those standards based on what the ordinance requires us to do. And again, as we go through here, just to avoid duplication, virtually every one of these standards applies to whether it's this particular Plan A or Plan B. And let me go through them. First of all, the proposed development is confined to the existing lot area. The expansion of the site is not feasible. What this means is that, well, can we buy some property next door, add it to our site, make our site bigger, and that'll give us plenty of setback area? That's not feasible, given in a particular sense, right next door, you've got a developed site. So the possibility of getting additional land is not a feasible option here. Secondly, again, I'm going straight with what the ordinance asks us to do. The variance offers the applicant an opportunity to develop the parcel in a manner consistent with the reduced setback opportunities afforded neighboring properties with attached garages. The same thing you'll see a little later applies to the property on the east side. The next standard deals with design consistency. We felt the proposed dwelling design, including the addition, is consistent with neighborhood dwelling designs and construction trends. You will see that, well, you saw one, the house to the west, it does have an attached garage, and the house to the east does as well. In fact, most of the homes in this area do. The variance, we don't believe, is anticipated or will impair any supply of light or air to adjacent properties. It should not have an impact. For the benefit of the applicant, the reason we're going through these is the ordinance requires us to do it. So if it sounds boring, I hope not, but the ordinance requires, I shouldn't say, it requires this fine board to do this, so. Next is the proposed, whoops, I did that one, didn't, nope. The variance will not increase congestion on the public streets. This particular use will not add any additional traffic. We're not creating a difference or adding a use to the site, basically maintaining what's there, just adding an addition, so no increase in traffic. The variance is not anticipated to impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property. I should say, I'm sorry, did I turn this? Whoops, sorry about that. The variance is not anticipated to increase the danger of a fire or endanger public safety. Again, recognizing that it has to meet the building code. We also believe, to a degree, it improves public safety. And you'll see why, I think, in just a few minutes. Almost through them. The variance is not anticipated to diminish or impair established property values within the surrounding area. As I probably noted, or I think I noted in the staff report, it will actually increase the property value of this particular piece of property, and so we'll have a positive benefit on the surrounding area. And the variance will not impair the public health, safety, comfort, morals, or welfare of the inhabitants of the city. And again, just to highlight, a reason some of these standards come into view is that there are, from time to time, projects that do have an impact on these issues. And so therefore, that's why it's important. And again, I will read this particular one. The variance provides for the construction of a handicapped accessible addition offering manageable living accommodations for persons in need. The city desires to meet the housing needs of all people. The connection of the dwelling and garage allows for the safe, efficient, and protected movement of individuals experiencing mobility challenges, as well as anyone that happens to occupy the establishment. One of the things that I want to mention, and one of the reasons for preferring A, is that particularly during the winter time, if you come upon an unexpected snowstorm, for example, and you can't clear the sidewalks, as we all know, as you know, it's much easier if you can go from the house right into the garage, get in the car, or go from the garage into the house than to try to walk outside, whether you're confined to a wheelchair, you're on crutches, or whatever it might be, or you're an old guy like me who has a hard time walking. It makes it more efficient, it makes it safer. And again, I will skip this one too. Again, the location of the garage with its 3 and 4 feet setbacks are very consistent with the current ordinance, and so if it wasn't the addition, this wouldn't even be an issue. Want to look quickly at Plan B. Again, you have the site plan in your packet. This is just kind of a rough outline of what's happening. And you'll see that the one part of the addition will be 12 feet from the side lot line, and then the lower southern portion, the small portion, will be 10 feet. The east side yard.
I'm going to interrupt you there.
Okay.
I just drew that based on my interpretation of the 25-foot combined. I thought, I could bump this over to 10 feet because they're at, 20-some feet on the other side. So it wouldn't go over the 10. It would be consistent with the 12 feet.
Okay, very good. That makes it even better. If it is 12 feet, then you wouldn't need the variance.
I thought it was 25.
No, 15 feet. However, let me explain something. Let me just keep going and then, okay? All right. Okay. The dwelling itself is 12 feet, and there was a prior variance that was afforded this particular piece of property, and the required setback is 15 feet. They were given a variance for 12 feet. The way the ordinance reads is because the variance wasn't established specifically for the site plan of the home, it applies basically to that entire side yard. So if the dwelling addition is 12 feet, then it's consistent with the variance that was granted previously, and it's compliant. And if there's not going to be a 10 feet change, which the site plan shows 10 feet, there would have been a need for a variance. So essentially, we're just really dealing with Plan A from the standpoint of a variance.
Quick question, so Plan A, Plan B, you mentioned Plan A is preferred by
Mhm.
the city or by the owners?
By the owner.
By the owners.
By the owner. Okay, this is the possible motion for Plan A. I will go ahead and read it. Yeah, it's just for your consideration, obviously. This is to approve the construction or deny the construction of a handicapped accessible living area, the addition to the home, per the applicant's Plan A that connects the existing dwelling at 1202 Sunnyside Drive to the existing detached garage of said address as presently cited, providing for garage setback variances of 7 feet along the north 24 feet of the west wall of the garage and 6 feet along the south 12 feet of said wall of the garage. Said setbacks noted on Plan A of the site plan dated 3/23/24, which accompanied the variance application dated March 25, 2024. Staff did or would like you to possibly consider, if you were to approve this, two conditions, and of course approval is totally up to you. The first one is that the variance would be limited to the footprint that's shown on the site plan, that the 3 and 4 feet would not apply, just so that we're clear here, would not apply to the entire west lot line. It would only apply to the garage per the site plan. And then secondly, and I can go back, but you may recall the photo of the privacy fence. We'd like to see the privacy fence or something comparable like it maintained, just to add some buffering between the two uses. Yes.
Is that currently owned by you folks, or is it the
We
neighbor's fence?
didn't put it in, actually, the neighbor to the west is here, this is Dave.
Okay.
The previous owners prior to Dave put that privacy
Gotcha.
fence.
Okay.
So,
But if he took it down, we would want them to replace it. It's a beautiful fence.
So I know you have to go through the process, but I'm here, first of all, I'm fine with Plan A. I have no
Hang on, he's going to call, excuse me, he's going to call for, and allow you to come up and talk, okay? All right, thank you. That's it for unless you have any questions, I won't need to go over the Plan B since it's not, the variance isn't needed for it.
Okay. Have anybody else wants to come out and speak? If you want, you gotta state your name and address.
I'm Dave Yanor. 1204 Sunnyside is my address here in Cadillac. I'm fine with Plan A. I'm really just here to see what experience is because I'm hoping to add on to my place. So I wanted to get a little taste of what I'll be going through when I do that. So anyway, I'm fine with what they proposed on Plan A. So.
Anybody else? Okay, we close that part. Now discuss to us. I'll start out with it. My first wife was totally handicapped. She was an electric scooter. And I know how miserable it was because I had to help her transfer from scooter to the car to scooter. How miserable it was in terrible weather for both of us. Then I spent the time to load that scooter in the back of the car and had to unload it and everything. I loved to have a place like that because it's pure miserable. So you know where I'm standing. Got any other comments? If not, got a motion?
I move we accept, I don't know how to say this properly, I move we accept Plan A with the conditions stated. In the
The motion that was presented, would that be acceptable to you?
With the
That's
conditions?
my motion,
With the conditions?
with the conditions, yes.
Okay, subject to the two conditions, okay.
Okay,
Who seconded?
Larry?
Larry, Mr. Bontrager.
Alt,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Nichols,
yes.
Bontrager.
Okay. That's got approved. Go have the fun. I mean, my wife now is in Mercy House getting surgery, and we had put a temporary ramp on the house, and it just flat destroyed the garage. Can't even use the garage now while that ramp is on it. If I ever have to put a ramp on that house, I'm not knowing what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, it's an interesting,
Mm-hmm.
like you said.
You
it's
turn this
raining,
off,
snow,
John.
putting
Oh.
a chair in the car. I agree with you. Well, thank you very much for your
Mhm.
time.
Thank you.
Conditions were again to maintain the fence if they tear it down.
Pardon?
What
Yeah.
were the two conditions again?
Conditions.
Conditions, and you'll be getting notification of this. The conditions are that the variance applies to the site plan as submitted.
Okay.
Okay, it doesn't, in other words, if you wanted to, let's say, put an addition on the north side of your house,
Yeah.
you'd have to comply with the 10-foot setback, okay? You wouldn't be allowed to put the home 3 or 4 feet from the side lot line. And the second condition was that maintaining that fence, that if the fence were to be removed by this gentleman, that you'd have to put one back.
Okay. Okay, and again, the east side, we didn't need a variance for that.
It's not an issue. If it's all even, if it meets the 12 feet, you're fine.
Okay, all right. We'll see what the architect comes up with. We did have one, and I'm just gonna throw this out there, we did have one builder come out and he said, attaching this all the way, you're gonna have to rip the roof off the garage, and he suggested only coming to within 5 feet of the garage and putting a small
Versus-
breezeway
yeah.
that would attach instead. So, I mean, we'd still be compliant with the variance though that you just granted us, so.
Yeah, what you're doing is fine.
So pretty much we have leeway there.
Yeah, we'll end up, we'll send you a notification of all this, so.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Everything to go?
Any new business?
No new business.
Thanks for showing up.
Any old business?
No old business.
Do we expect to have something coming up in June?
There's a possibility.
Is there? Okay.
I don't know for sure. We had a person come in today. I don't know yet. I just don't know.
Anybody on the board has comment? Public have any comment?
I just thank you for being here.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Then we'll adjourn the meeting.
Very good, thank you.